Now, Italy has this week celebrated the 79th anniversary of the foundation of the Republic, and Italy is, of course, increasingly visible and audible on the world stage, with Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni seen recently in major world capitals, from Washington to Riyadh. So what is behind this newly restored Italian confidence in global affairs? Well, to tell us more, I'm joined here in the studio by Lorenzo Fanara, who is the Italian ambassador to the UAE. Thank you very much indeed for coming to see us, Your Excellency. You're actually from Sicily, I believe, and you've been in this region for 2 years. Do you feel, coming from Sicily, some sense of familiarity with the Arab world? Because, of course, there is a strong Arab influence on Sicily itself, isn't there?
I think that it's more than some sense of familiarity, Tom. I really feel at home here. As you know, my name is Fanara, so clear Arabic origin. It means lighthouse, torch. My city is Fawar, so source of hot water. And Sicily has been for centuries a crossroad between the European and Arab civilization. So a kind of vital bridge full of dialogue, full of mutual understanding and mutual influences. So I feel really at home in this region. And before coming here, I was ambassador to Tunisia, once again, really close to Sicily.
Yeah, just the other side of the Mediterranean. With your heritage from Sicily, did that help you a little bit with learning to speak Arabic?
Yes, because there are many words in the Sicilian dialect that comes from the Arab language. For example, when a person falls down, we don't say poor man or poveretto in Italian, we say mischino, which is the same word as in Arab or in Arabic. So, for example, the most beautiful building in Palermo is called, Palermo, which is the Sicilian capital, is called Aziza, so the gentle one. Or the island of Pantelleria, Bentaria. So it's full of Arabic names. It's full, I mean, our culture, the Sicilian culture, is a mix of the Mediterranean cultures, because Sicily is in the center of the Mediterranean Sea.
And obviously, Sicily's been in the news the last couple of days, everyone concerned about what's been happening on Mount Etna. Are you worried, or is the situation under control?
I'm not worried. We are accustomed to these eruptions. Of course, I would recommend to be cautious, but Etna is a volcano, an active volcano, so you have to be cautious, but I can reassure all of the tourists who want to go to Sicily that they can fly, they can go to Sicily and they can enjoy Sicily and the rest of Italy.
Just going back to what you were saying about this communality and the sense of familiarity that perhaps Italians feel when they come here to the Middle East, do you think that explains the success behind the Italian community in the GCC countries?
Of course, but we have a common history. So sometimes people ask me, why do you have this success? Because for centuries, Italian merchants and Arab traders crossed the route of spices for centuries. And that route of spices was crossed by these people when there were no insurance trades mechanisms, when there were no SWIFT codes, when there was just one fundamental reason to cross this route was business and trust. And I think that after centuries and centuries of exchanges, of trade, of mutual and common understanding, of compromise, the two cultures have understood each other well, and now they are able to exploit this trust in order to do something more important, which is expand their business, expand their investment, expand their trade. So it is no surprise for me, for example, that Italy was the first European country which kindly asked the European Commission to start free trade agreement negotiations with UAE. And now these negotiations have been launched, and we hope that they will be finalized soon.
So nothing really surprised you when you arrived on the Arabian Peninsula? You presumably felt well prepared for the job? And coming from Tunisia, you had some linguistic familiarity as well.
I think that what really surprised me, if I have to be honest, is the dynamism, the ambition, and the great capacity to innovate in this peninsula, and especially in the UAE. So I was aware of the vision of this leadership, but really it is surprising the capacity to implement this vision day by day.
Italy's deepened ties in this region of the world, as you've been saying, over the years. Where are you seeing the most momentum? Are you seeing it in economic field? Are you seeing it in culture, political relations? Where are you seeing the strongest momentum?
I have to say that, I mean, of course, I'm the ambassador to the UAE. I have to say that the great momentum is with the relationship with the UAE in political relationship, because there is an excellent chemistry between the Italian Prime Minister and the Emirati President, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed. And for the first time in the history of our bilateral relationship, we organized a state visit of an Emirati president to Rome, where we signed 40 agreements and where the Emirati leadership committed to invest up to $40 billion in the Italian market.
And your Prime Minister, Giorgia Meloni, was in Riyadh as well earlier on this year. So clearly Saudi Arabia, a major focus as well for the Italian government.
Of course, Saudi Arabia and all the region, because this is the Gulf moment, let's be clear. This is the Gulf moment, this is the place to be, and this is the place where things are happening at a very swift pace.
We were talking about bridges earlier on in the context of Italy and the Arab world. But there's another bridge that looks like it's being built at the moment, which is that your Prime Minister, Giorgia Meloni, seems to have a good relationship with the US President Donald Trump. And she's also in the European Union. And I'm just wondering whether you see her role as being something of an interlocutor, kind of a bridge builder between Washington and Brussels. Is that kind of an extension of the job of the current Prime Minister of Italy?
Tom, Italy has always invested in the transatlantic relationship. I mean, the Italian Republic is founded on two pillars, the relationship with Brussels and the relationship with Washington. These are the main pillars of our foreign policy. So once again, it's normal, it's natural, it's logical that the Italian Prime Minister wants to have a dialogue, and profitable and honest dialogue with President Trump, and I think she's managing very well.
She's got lots of challenges. We'll talk about some of them. One of them is migration, and that's a challenge shared by many countries in Europe. How is Prime Minister Meloni addressing the pressures of migration in Italy and across Europe, would you say?
I think if you look at the numbers have been reduced over the last 2 years compared to the previous years. Of course, migration is a structural and, in a way, natural phenomenon. So what the Italian government tried to do, and is trying to do also in these years, is to challenge this phenomenon in a structural way. For example, we have launched a new plan called Mattei Plan, which is focused onto Africa, and which is trying to boost investment, prosperity, and new opportunities in this dynamic continent. And we are very well also aware of the fact that migration is a phenomenon which has to be tackled in a comprehensive way, not just on security. So it's important to cooperate also with the countries of origin and countries that are especially on the Mediterranean Sea. So it's important, for example, our cooperation with Tunisia, with Egypt, and we are trying also to cooperate with the UAE, where especially the Emirati president was present in Rome when we launched a conference on migration and development 2 years ago.
Let's turn our attention to Gaza. Italy has obviously called for an end to the humanitarian crisis there. What is Italy's position, if you don't mind clarifying it for us, on the current situation in Gaza?
I think Italy's position is very clear. We understood the legitimate reaction of Israel after the 7th of October, when a terrible massacre was perpetrated by Hamas. But the suffering of the Palestinian population, the civilians in Gaza, and especially the sick, the children, the elderly, has gone for too long. So the Minister of Foreign Affairs has asked for the bombings to stop and for the resumption of the humanitarian law and especially for the resumption of humanitarian aid. Italy has been fully engaged with a program in favor of the civilians in Gaza, which is called Food for Gaza. We have also welcomed many sick people and many children. In a way, we are trying to give some lights of hope to the civilians in Gaza and, to be honest, to humanity, because it's a way to express our humanity towards people who are suffering. But there is just one way to restore humanity. It is to stop the bombings.
So that's the immediate priority. What's the sort of Italy's vision of the longer-term solution to the crisis?
The long-term solution has never changed. So we feel that the solution should be a two-state solution. But also we feel that the Gaza and the Palestinian issue is so complex that we have to rely on the Arabs, on the Arab governments. So we support the plan put forward by the Arab governments, and we are ready to do our utmost to support it in terms of financial support, cooperation support, also security support.
Let's change and talk about something a little lighter. Another strong bond between Italians and the Arab world is, of course, football. That's a pretty strong bond, isn't it?
Yes, of course. I mean, Italians are really passionate about football, and I see the same passion here in the Gulf area.
I gather you're a fan of Juventus, is that correct?
I'm a fan of Juventus, you're right, Tom. Okay. You're very well informed.
They didn't do too well. Well, they did quite well, not as well as Napoli, obviously, in the Serie A this year. How do you feel about the World Cup returning to the region? It's going to be in Saudi Arabia, obviously, in 2034. How does that make you feel as an ambassador in this region?
I think it's a great opportunity for Saudi Arabia, it's a great opportunity for the Gulf region, but also it's a great opportunity for football, because football is a world sport, appreciated all over the world, but it's important to be present here in the region with a big tournament, as it was in Qatar a couple of years ago.
And how's the Italian national team doing? Because they're starting their World Cup qualifying campaign for 2026 on Friday. I gather they're playing Norway. How do you rate their chances?
I don't know. I really don't know. I hope they can play well. Of course, I will watch the game, and I wish all the best to the national team. But football is unpredictable.
Okay, so football is a big deal. I mean, a lot of tourism from this region to Italy. I mean, why is it that Italy is really top spot? I mean, there's a bit of rivalry between Italy and France, but what's the secret behind Italy's success as a magnet for all these tourists?
I think, first of all, beauty. Italy is a beautiful country. Second, I think Italy is one of the best countries in terms of cultural heritage. So you can enjoy cultural heritage everywhere, not just in one city, but everywhere. And the third thing is a sweet way of life, the dolce vita. So we were born in this dolce vita, in this sweet life environment. And so we try to accommodate any request coming from any tourist.
And what's the Italian government got to do, in your opinion, to keep Italy in top spot and modernise and keep the Italian tourism sector really at the top? What do they need to do?
I think that what we are doing is we are attracting new important investments in the tourism sector, and also new investments are coming from the UAE, from UAE investors such as the MR Group. So what we are trying to do is to invest in tourism, but also to attract tourism and invest in new infrastructure. But I can tell you that, for example, the airport of Fiumicino, the airport of Rome, is one of the best airports in the world.
That's changed a huge amount in the last 20 years, I can tell you that. Just lastly, I mean, obviously tourism a big part of the broader Italian economy and a big part of your GDP. How is the health of Italy's economy right now?
The health is good right now because the GDP has grown by 1% in the last few years, which are not huge figures, but if you compare these figures to many other European countries, these are good figures. And the good thing is also public debt is under control, so the government has done a great job. And another good thing is that the level of employment has rapidly and significantly increased. So the three things about GDP growth, level of public debt under control, and employment going up are good figures that, I mean, I don't want to boast about it, but they're really objective good figures.
Okay, well, on that positive note, let's bring this conversation to an end. Thank you very much indeed for taking the time to speak to us. Lorenzo Fanara, the Italian ambassador to the United Arab Emirates. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.